First things first, I'm the realist. Chop this and let the horror, I feel it. And I'm still in the murder business. I can hold you down like I'm giving lessons of physics. Like, you don't wanna bend it like this. Chop it low and pick it up just like this.
Hi everyone, I'm here today with a review slash is it worth the hype and a mini tutorial for the new Becca and Jaclyn Hill collaborations. I know you're probably seeing a ton of these pop up in your subscription boxes. A lot of people have just been swatching them and kind of reviewing them. I wanted to do something a little different because I haven't seen anybody actually like put them to use in their videos yet. So I wanted to do that because it is going on sale, or not on sale, but it's available to purchase today, the 26th. I think it goes up at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I believe. I'm going to get this up before it launches on Sephora's website so you can look at the swatches, see how it applies, and decide if you want to purchase any of it, if you want to get the whole collection, or your thoughts on it after you kind of see the swatches versus how they apply. Now, I love swatch videos because you can kind of get an idea for the pigmentation and the color richness of the color. But I also think that sometimes you can apply it with your finger and get this really intense, beautiful pigment, but then when you go to apply it with a brush, it's not the same, or vice versa. You may not be able to do good finger swatches, but products can apply way better. They pick up better with a brush when you apply them onto your face. So I did do a blush video, and I find a lot of them blushes that I was swatching really didn't have great swatches with my fingers, but when you apply them with a brush, it applies much better. So I'm going to show you today some of the products, how they swatch on finger swatches so you can get an idea of the color, and then as well as a video on the eye look and then applying some of the cheek products. So let's get into some of the products that came out in the new Champagne Pop Becca Jaclyn Hill collaboration Champagne Glow. Let's get started. All right, so the first, and I think the thing that most people are going to be the most excited about, and it will probably sell out the quickest, is the Champagne Collection Face Palette. Now, it has the most beautiful packaging. I think the white and the gold and the silver is so beautiful. It's very, very well made. It's not some cheap plastic. It's not cheap cardboard. It is a heavy duty, beautiful, very well made palette. You do have the colors on the back, and there is a little paper on the inside or plastic on the inside that also has the colors. So you open it up from the front right here and you get a nice large mirror. Like I said, you do have the colors on this little paper here. Great, fantastic mirror for traveling. It does sit up on its own, so you don't have to worry about it like flopping over. So if you're traveling, this is going to be great. You have a huge, really good quality full-size mirror, which I think is great. Then you have, I'm going to try not to blind you here. You have 3 blushes and 2 highlights. Now, this highlighter right here is the Champagne Pop, which she released about a year ago with Becca. And this is a new one in Prosecco Pop. You have Pamplemousse Blush, you have Amaretto, and you have Rose Spritz. Now, these 2 are their mineral blushes, and this is their luminous blush, which I believe is probably the same formula as the new luminous blushes that Becca came out with, and this is more along the lines of their original formula. So you get 5 products, beautiful presentation, and Champagne Pop is a fantastic highlighter, so I'm going to show you swatches as well. I have a combination of these 2 blushes on my cheek and these 2 highlights, so I tried to use as many products as possible, and you can tell the difference in texture in the blushes from the luminous to the mineral blush. And see, they apply beautifully when you finger swatch it, but I find that they apply even more pigmented when you use a brush. The brush just picks up the pigment in a way that your finger swatches do not do. And so then the next are the highlights. I have mixed these 2 on my cheek. They're extremely pigmented and blend really beautifully. I don't find there's a whole lot of like powder fallout with the blushes or the highlights. So they're really beautiful. I think overall the #1 best seller will definitely be this palette because I feel like you could get so many different combinations by mixing and matching the different blushes and highlights. All right, next they also came out with the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. This is the liquid in the color Champagne Pop. Now I have this in a few different shades and I really actually enjoy mixing this with my face moisturizer. You can mix this with your moisturizer, you can mix this with body lotion, you can mix it with your foundation, you can just use it as a liquid highlight for your cheekbones. I prefer it in my moisturizer or my body lotion because I feel like it gives a really beautiful shimmery glow. And you really don't need very much. This is about half a pump and it's a beautiful champagne pop color. And I think this is actually one of the more wearable, this one and Opal I think are one of the more wearable shimmering skin perfectors in the liquid. It's just a really beautiful sheen. And yeah, if you are a fan of liquid highlighters, I think you would like this. I like their liquid highlighters. They last forever. You can use it for so many different things, like I said, and I like it. So that is the Champagne Pop Liquid Shimmering Skin Perfector. Next, they also have the Champagne Pop Regular Pressed Skin Perfector. I already own this, and it's the same color as the Champagne Pop in the palette. So I'm not going to swatch that one because I already have one open. And so you can see the size. You are basically getting very similar to a full-size Shimmering Skin Perfector in the palette. It looks like it's just a tiny bit smaller. As far as, I don't know how many grams are in this one versus this one. This is 0.28 ounces or 8 grams. So I think you're getting pretty close, maybe half of the same product. I'm not sure how deep these are, so don't quote me on that. But this is the regular Shimmering Skin Perfector in Champagne Pop, which they already have available. They also have the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. This is the poured version in Champagne Pop. Now, I love applying this with a beauty blender on your cheekbones. I feel like you get that really pretty wet, dewy look. I'm not a fan of layering this with the powder highlights though. I feel like when you layer powder over this, it ends up kind of breaking up my foundation a little bit and gets a little bit splotchy and patchy. So if I'm going for that really dewy, wet, glowy look, I will use this on my cheekbones with a beauty blender, and I feel like it's the most beautiful, wet sheen to your cheeks. It's a different look than the actual powdered Shimmering Skin Perfector. When you use the port, it's that wet, dewy look. And then last but not least, they came out with an eyeshadow palette, which I'm wearing today, and I do have a tutorial of how I came up with this look. I also tried it yesterday wearing this color called Champagne Toast all over the lid, and it comes with 5 shadows. You have 2 shimmer, 3 mattes, Chardonnay, Champagne Toast, Cordial, Cognac, and Bordeaux. And when I first saw this, I'm like, okay, if I was ever going to put together a palette for myself, these would be the colors I would use. You guys know I'm a huge fan of mauves, and I love this like rosy gold color. So I absolutely love that. Yesterday when I applied these shadows, I used Champagne Toast all over the lid, and I find that it swatches really beautifully on the finger, but then when you go to apply it on your lid, I feel like it just wasn't very pigmented. So not only did I keep applying it, but I also had to use Fix Plus to kind of get a little bit more of that metallic or sheen to the eyes. So this is one of those palettes that if you are looking for a palette that has a ton of pigmentation, it's super buildable, this is not going to be for you. I find this is a very, very subtle, light palette. It's almost like a light wash of color. On my eyes today, you can see that they're not super dramatic. It's not very dark, and I felt like I was really trying to build these colors up, and I just didn't get a ton of pigment. So if you like very, very pigmented shadows like Makeup Geek, the Morphe shadows, this is not your palette. But if you like a light wash of color and kind of a more soft romantic eye, I think you'll like this. It just depends on what your expectations are of the palette. If you think this is going to be super pigmented and apply really, really bright and vivid like the blushes do, it's not the case, at least not for me. And I've tried a few different brushes. I've probably tried 5 or 6 different brushes to get this to apply a little bit more intense. Now this color here in Chardonnay does apply really bright and really effortlessly. I find that these other ones take a little bit more work, and they don't build up too much. Like, you can't really build them up to much intensity. This was about as dark as I could get the eye look to go. So anyways, the blush palette is beautiful. The color array is beautiful. I think it pairs so nicely with the collection. It's just not extremely pigmented like I had anticipated it being. And, but I mean, it's not a bad thing. super pigmented shadows are not always very necessary, and I actually really love the look that I came up with once I popped on some lashes and some liner and some mascara. I really like the way that it turned out. So that is the Champagne Collection eye palette. So if you want to see how they applied and kind of my final thoughts as I'm applying them, then just stay tuned. Okay, so to start off, we're using the Becca and Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette. There are 5 gorgeous, gorgeous shadows in here. So I'm going to try to come up with a look, and we're going to see how these perform. So the first color I'm going to go in with is this color called Cognac, and it's a nice matte brown. And I'm going to take a Sigma E25 brush, or E35? E35. And we're going to start in this outer corner here, and we're going to use this as the transition shade. And I wore this yesterday, and I did a shimmery lid. The shimmers really do swatch beautifully when you swatch them with your finger. I was having a little bit of trouble getting the coppery, what shade is it? The Champagne Toast color to be super bright, vibrant on my lid without using Fix Plus. It could have just been the brush I was using. I was using a MAC 239 brush. And I feel like finger swatches, it swatches really pretty, but when you go to apply it with a brush, it was a little bit less pigmented. So I might need to use like a more synthetic, or use a synthetic brush, or like a brush that I use more for pigments versus just like a regular flat panel brush. So I'm gonna do something different today. I'm gonna use just basically the mattes on my lid, and we'll try the shimmers on the lower lash line. Next, we're gonna go in with this beautiful mauve color, and it's in the shade Cordial, and we're gonna apply that all over our lid. And I'm using a MAC 239 brush for this. I think this should be a brush that works pretty well with it. And we're going to pack this on. Okay, is it? I'm getting some fallout here. Let's try this again. I've loaded up my brush, and it's not really applying very well. Let's see. Let's try to use our finger. Okay. Because I feel like I'm getting a bunch of fallout, but I'm not getting a whole lot of pigment on my eyes. So these are definitely very subtle, and you don't really have to worry about having going in too heavy with these eyeshadows. I guess because I swatched the blushes and I've tried the blushes and they've been so pigmented, you have to be really, really careful with the blushes, that I kind of figured the eyeshadows would be the same, but they're actually not. They're very, very light. It's almost like a light wash of color. Because are you able to see that? The mauve is like really, really subtle. This is a Makeup Geek Pro Blending Fluff Brush to see if that would pick up more product. But I don't think that really helped. I'm just getting a ton of fallout everywhere. So, okay. So this might just be a very light look on the lid here. Let's just keep using that Pro Blending Brush. We're gonna go in with the darkest shade, which is Bordeaux. And we're going to just kind of deepen this up. I feel like these kind of just blended into each other. So I'm just applying this to the outer B. This is a MAC 286. And I'm just going in with the Bordeaux, and I'm trying to build it up on this outer corner. Man. Alright, well, I'm a little disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit disappointed with the pigmentation or the buildability of these colors. That's my honest opinion. I think the color selection is beautiful. So I just grabbed my Tartelette palette, and I'm just using the color Supermom and Free Spirit to apply on my brow bone. I do have to admit that the light champagne color that's in this palette, in the Becca Jaclyn Hill palette, is amazing for the inner corner or to use as a highlighter. It's very, very pigmented. and I feel like it's very, very bright. So I do really like that color. I'm gonna go in with Force of Nature from the same palette to kind of blend out this shade here. Next, I'm gonna go in with Chardonnay, which this I think is the star of the show, honestly, because it's so bright. And you'll see here as I pop this into my inner corner, like this actually is very pigmented and has a really good color payoff. I think the brightness is beautiful, and yeah, I definitely am a fan of this color because I just feel like it really does brighten and kind of stays put. I found that this color really did stay put on my inner corner for most of yesterday. I'm gonna go in with the Bordeaux color, which is that darkest brown, and we're going to smudge this on the lower lash line. And this is a Makeup Geek pencil brush, which is so great for this lower lash line. I really like to go in with this Sigma shader crease brush. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the color Cognac, which is the brown, just to smoke this out a little bit. A flat shader brush, this one is from MAC, it's a 212. I'm gonna go in with Champagne Toast, which is that really pretty kind of coppery color. It's like a copper rose gold. And I'm gonna apply this right in the center of my lower lash line. So this is the palette. This I think is definitely 100% worth the money. These are super pigmented, you guys, so use a light hand with them because it does get out of control really, really fast. So I'm gonna go in with the middle color, which is Amaretto. I'm gonna go in with this IT Cosmetics Wand Ball Powder Brush, super soft. And I'm gonna go in with Amaretto, which is the more neutral color. And I'm gonna start kind of right at this little bit of the ball of my cheeks, and I'm gonna blend it back. This one is probably one of the least shimmery ones. It's very like kind of a neutral color, but do you see it just gives like a little kind of mauve-y toned shimmer to your cheeks. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the Rosé Spritz or Rose Spritz, which has a little bit of shimmer, and I'm just going to lightly dust that over it. The brush that I've been loving for applying my highlight is this MAC 133 brush. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Champagne Pop and a little bit of Prosecco Pop. And we're gonna apply that. You're gonna kind of smile, apply it right here, and then take it back. And I mean, you can definitely see that that highlight is incredibly beautiful. You can apply a little bit on your Cupid's bow. I don't like applying it on my nose. I feel like it's just too much, but apply it there. And it's very, very bright. So I'm going to finish up with the rest of my liner and lips and stuff, and then I will be back to check in and give you my final thoughts on the rest of the collection. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful, seeing kind of like a mini review as well as like seeing me apply them and kind of give you my first impressions or like my impressions as I'm using them. As a whole, I think the collection is absolutely beautiful. I think that everything kind of pairs really well with each other. I think the blush palette and the eye palette, the colors look really beautiful. So it's just a matter of what you're looking for, what your expectations are. Like I said, I hope this was helpful. I think it's a beautiful collection. I'm so excited for Jaclyn. I don't know her on a personal basis, but I just love seeing YouTubers have their dreams come true with the ability of making YouTube videos and being discovered. And I think that this collection is absolutely beautiful, and I could not be happier for Jaclyn and all of her success with Becca, and just in general, I think it's so fantastic. So anyways, if you're picking up anything from the Becca and Jaclyn Hill collection, let me know what you're picking up, what are your thoughts. And don't forget to check on Sephora. I will have the links below for everything. Make sure you get this stuff before it's sold out. So I hope this was helpful in helping you figure out what you want to get from the collection before you head over to Sephora and buy it, because I'm pretty sure most of this stuff is going to sell out pretty dang quick. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!